Hello and welcome to the Tech and Sports Podcast. Tech and Sports is a show about how technology is revolutionizing all of the major sports as well as health and fitness. You can find it on your podcast service of choice. My name is Alex Radu and I'm here with the extraordinary Mandy Kovacs.
Hello.
The Consumer Electronics Show, or CES 2018, is this week, and for our discussion, we'll be talking about our favorite new pieces of sports technology that have been announced, plus all the sports tech news from the last week. But before we get to that, just a little bit of housekeeping. As always, we would really appreciate it if you would review and rate the Tech and Sports Podcast on iTunes and Google Play, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. It really does help us grow the show, and we really appreciate all of the support so far. And with that, sit back and relax, because the Tech and Sports crew is entering the game. Alright, so Mandy, the news.
Alright, so this weekend's exciting college football playoff game between Alabama and Georgia was more than just an overtime thriller. ESPN placed cameras inside all 4 of the first down markers to give viewers a unique vantage point during the game. The technology, which includes the camera, battery, transmitter, antennas, and cables, were all stuffed inside the markers and was first tested last month at the Celebration Bowl. So better yet, the guys who hold the first down markers also wore hats this weekend that had cameras on top of them for even more interesting perspectives. So we keep hearing about all of these cool new vantage points for fans, like the Skycam that was tested earlier in the NFL season, and so I really think that this is going to be a new trend going forward.
Yeah, it's like the ref helmets in the NHL and stuff. It's always cool when they add more vantage points, especially if, we're wasting so much time in between plays or in between puck drops and stuff like that. Why not just give fans more?
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, next up, the Winter Olympics are just a couple weeks away, and the Olympic Channel has launched a new series called Trending Gold that is filmed entirely in 360-degree virtual reality. It provides a first-hand experience of what Olympians go through on their journey to the big games and gives fans a closer look at things like their training and workout regimens. So the video series follows 4 different sports in 4 continents and 7 countries. And the first few episodes are out, and they're around 5 or 6 minutes, and go behind the scenes with U.S. snowboarder Jamie Anderson and Canadian snowboarder Max Perot, as well as the first Nigerian women's bobsled team, the South Korean short track speed skating team, and many more. So, I watched the first couple, and they're honestly a lot of fun. Like the snowboarding episode, for example, you can pause it while they're flipping upside down in midair and look around. So, it's a really cool thing, and I highly recommend everyone watch them.
It's going to be stuff like this that makes VR headsets like the Google Daydream, which is just a headset you can use with your phone, worth it. Because you're not going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on VR to do this necessarily. Yeah. But those tinier ones with the headset where you could just watch these types of videos, I think is really going to shine, especially during the Olympics, because that is really cool. Like I've tested, the Daydream out just at my desk, and you're just sitting at your desk at work or something, and you're just like playing with dinosaurs or something.
I know, it's really cool.
So this could be a really cool way to see all that.
Yeah. And even just watching it on your computer too, like it's not quite the same effect, sure, but just the fact that you can do these 360 videos now is amazing.
Yeah, 360 video is going to be awesome, and it's going to be cool to see what they do at the Olympics with it.
Absolutely. And so in more Olympic news, the Canadian Olympic team is using SAS Canada's data analytics platform to try and own the podium at Pyeongchang. The team as a whole is expected to win at least 33 medals at these games, and to make sure that they do that, they've partnered with SAS for the data platform, as well as hardware, consulting services, and analytics experts. So the Canadian luge team in particular has been using the SAS platform to improve their performances after coming in 4th and 5th at the last Winter Olympics because of just 1/100th of a second. So they're hoping that by studying the analytics, they'll be on the other side of those microseconds.
Yeah, I imagine every team is partnered with someone.
I think so, yeah.
And it's only news for us because we're here in Canada and it's our team.
Yeah, but I feel like the luge team, too, using it is kind of different. You'd expect maybe some of the bigger named sports to be using this, but...
I think analytics are really beneficial, though, in those sports when it's all about time. So it's all about that microscopic edge that they can get.
Which is crazy.
So it's cool. I think the analytics are perfect for those sports as well.
I agree. All right, next, Intel has announced at CES that it's partnering with Ferrari to enhance fan experiences during the car company's 6-race circuit in North America this year. Ferrari will be using Intel's artificial intelligence products to digest and analyze the huge amounts of data collected from these races in real time. So Intel will also be flying drones above the races to provide a new aerial video feed that can be synced with the cameras in the cars. And so because all of this will be happening on Intel's AI platform, its machine learning capabilities will, over time, be able to identify key storylines for fans to follow and also help drivers by noticing subtle operational changes like steering wheel angles and throttle pressure and let them know what's working and what might be holding them back in the race.
My favorite part about this is the possibility of AI platforms coming up with storylines during sporting events.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do that.
So it reminds me of, I want to say it was in December this happened. A group of people wrote a program that could analyze all of the Harry Potter books and then wrote a chapter of it.
It was so bad.
And it's hilarious, though, because it's just absolutely hilarious, the takeaway from it.
It's garbage.
It's not actually readable, but I would read 8 books of this because I'm very curious.
It's funny.
So it'd be really interesting to see what AI comes up with sports. How are they analyzing this race data and then seeing what story, even if it's obscene and just unrealistic and not actually a story, it's still interesting. It's still a story that it's coming up with the story.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if maybe it would analyze reactions on social media and use that in conjunction with the data that it gets from the actual race itself, and maybe for future races kind of put 2 and 2 together and realize people like this kind of stuff.
Maybe. The possibilities are really unthinkable at the moment because I don't think anyone. I could never have guessed with 1,000 tries what that AI would have come up with for that Harry Potter chapter.
No, that's so true. All right, moving on. FanDuel is a fantasy football site that's also become the first sports tech company to award Bitcoins to its winners and to use cryptocurrencies in a consumer promotion. So we're going into week 2 of the NFL playoffs, and FanDuel is hosting a free single-entry contest called the Bitcoin Bowl that will offer its winning user the chance to win 1 Bitcoin. And it works exactly like how any other fantasy sports website works, where you enter, set your lineup, and really hope for the best, except you get a Bitcoin if you win instead of a traditional monetary reimbursement. There's also going to be a Bitcoin Bowl tournament where users can enter multiple times for $3 an entry, where first place would get you 2 Bitcoins, half a Bitcoin for second place, and a quarter Bitcoin for third and fourth spot. And so it's worth noting that as of today, January 9th, the day that we're recording, Bitcoin is worth around $14,000 US, or 18,000 Canadian. So that'd be a pretty big payday if you win this. The company says that they're doing this because they recognize that most of their users are early adopters of the technology and have significant interest in cryptocurrency. And so, given that FanDuel is the first company to be doing a promotion like this, I'm interested to see how many others might actually follow suit.
I think it's interesting here that you're basically gambling to pick up a currency that is not stable.
That is also kind of gambling.
That is also like a weird definition of the term gambling.
Yeah.
So I guess what's nice about FanDuel and stuff like that is that I guess it is just like you said, a $3 entry it really is no different than anything else when betting for fantasy football and stuff like that. But yeah, no, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see how many people get on board the Bitcoin train and if it ever collapses or if it continues to keep going. Yeah,
that's the thing. If you have any sort of interest in cryptocurrency, then and you do sports betting off the side, you might as well do this. Why not?
Yeah, for $3, it could be worth $14,000. So.
Exactly. And you have the free entry one as well. Yeah. So that's not even really risky. I might do it, and I don't even care. All right, next up, we have some news from the MLB. The LA Dodgers launched a business accelerator program back in 2015 to help US-based startup companies broaden their knowledge in the sports tech industry, and they're now revamping the program globally. So the new program will be called the Global Sports Venture Studio in partnership with digital agency RGA, and its goal will be to give startups exclusive business tips, creative strategies, analysis, networking opportunities, and investment sourcing help. So because the program is now global, any young sports tech company from around the world can apply to participate, although the studio does say that it's going to lean towards startups already in the growth stage as opposed to an early stage. And so the previous accelerator program was really successful. So the Dodgers CFO, Tucker Kane, said that they wanted to open up this opportunity to others to grow the global sports ecosystem. The program will take place in New York and LA initially, but the Dodgers have plans to expand it to the UK and other cities internationally with strong sports innovation sectors eventually.
I think it's interesting when you put this in the concept of what we always hear working in tech is that right now, basically, every company is becoming a tech company.
Right.
And that's the same with sports teams and everything about them, because technology is such an important part of sports now. And all these teams have to invest in it. And it's really cool that the LA Dodgers are doing this because, I mean, chances are some of these startups are going to help them.
Absolutely.
And whether it's just in business or whether it's for the team or their minor league affiliates, who knows? So it's a cool move, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more companies or ownership groups that own some of these sports teams go for it.
Yeah, well, that kind of leads into our next story. There's a new product called Blast Vision that's helping baseball and golf players improve their swings. The smartphone app is developed by Blast Motion, which has also developed a very popular bat sensor in the past that's being used by various MLB stars and teams. So this app does require at least an iPhone 6S or iPad Pro to work, but it's really easy to use. You just set up the camera, you record your swing on the app, which then edits down the video footage to a 4-second clip on its own that shows the swing along with all the real-time metrics you could possibly need, like exit velocity, launch angle, ball speed, and projected distance. And all the footage can be exported and shared online. And so what's different about this is that, I mean, this tech does exist already, but it's almost always super expensive and geared towards elite athletes. So the fact that this is available for mobile phones means it can help all the amateurs out there or people in their backyards. And the best part is that it's free to test out for 2 weeks and only $9.99 US to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love that it's only on iPhone, but I'm sure that it'll come to Android at some point if it's successful. But what's cool is it reminds me of when I was a kid, and it was during elementary school, and you would have like a school fair or something like that. And I remember one year they had a speed gun to see like how to track how fast people would throw a ball.
So much
and
fun.
we loved doing that as a kid. So this is kind of like a similar type of deal where you guys could then just like analyze your baseball swing and stuff like that. And I think I'm all for giving your everyday person more technology to be able to do that stuff, because everyone likes to see themselves and their analytics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool.
Like, I'm a very, very amateur baseball player, and I feel like this could help me in my, summer rec league. Why not? Maybe I could actually improve this year. All right, and last but not least, TaylorMade Golf has created what it says will eliminate bad golf shots with its latest product. So the company, which counts pros like Rory McIlroy, Jason Day, and Dustin Johnson as clients, has developed its twist face technology, which essentially fixes the face angle of a club when you're hitting a shot to help golfers have longer and straighter drives. So I'm not that big of a golfer, but I have done my fair share of courses, and I know that when you're trying to hit the ball, most people will hit drives either low heel or high toe on the portion or on the club face, which creates what's called a hook or slice that sends the ball in a different direction that you want to go. So this technology basically corrects those errors and gives golfers more control, even if they don't hit the ball perfectly square. So the tech will be featured in TaylorMade's new line of M3 and M4 metalwood clubs, and it definitely doesn't come cheap. The line is available for pre-orders starting in mid-February for $500 American. Interestingly enough, though, this tech was actually used by number 1 ranked player Dustin Johnson this past weekend at the Century Tournament of Champions in Hawaii, which he obviously won, but he's also gone viral for being just inches away from a hole-in-one on a par 4, 433-yard hole, which is crazy. And I mean, he's known for having a very good long drive, but like he was so close to a hole-in-one, and that was a tough shot.
Well, I think we're going to keep talking about this type of technology because we've talked before about basketball and how it's working, and how Steph Curry and stuff like that, like they've come up with the perfect trajectory for shooting a shot. So this is kind of similar to that, where it all becomes muscle memory and you correct bad habits that are just very tiny. So
well, this is muscle memory for
Yeah.
the ball or the club,
Yeah.
which is crazy. All right. Well, that's it for the news today.
All right, so just before we move on to the discussion, just a reminder that if you have a topic that you'd like to see us explore on the show, or a news story you think we should cover, or impossibly hard trivia that we could answer, just email us at techinsports@itwc.ca, and we will be sure to incorporate it on the podcast. You can also tweet at us. I'm at Alex T. Radu, and Mandy is at Mandy V. Kovacs.
Yep.
All right, so for our discussion this week, we'll be exploring our favorite new pieces of sports technology unveiled at CES 2018 this week. For those who aren't familiar with the event, CES is the largest consumer tech convention in the world, and it's in Las Vegas at the beginning of every year. This year's sports technology sports technology, has had its biggest presence yet with the Sports Zone. But unfortunately, we are recording this podcast before the big sports tech day on the 11th. So if anything else happens at CES after this recording, don't worry, because we'll cover it next week.
Yes, we will.
We've each picked 2 pieces of tech from the show, and I'll kick it off. So we always talk about concussions.
Always.
And concussion technology and exploring it.
Yep. It's one of our favorite topics, and apparently yours too.
Yes. So what's interesting about this new piece of technology is we always talk about how the observational prevention techniques, whatever the NFL and NHL are using, are terrible.
Yeah,
they don't work.
Concussion spotters.
Yeah, concussion spotters. Just, someone gets hit and you're like, oh, is this guy concussed or not? Like, I mean, look at Cam Newton last weekend. Mm-hmm. So what this new piece of technology does is it is a smart mouth guard. So it's created by Prevent Biometrics, and they put it on sale this week for $200 USD, and it's called the Head Impact Monitor System. So this is a smart mouth guard that can offer evidence if a player has received a head injury by lighting up when too hard of a hit is received by a player. What's great about this is that it offers tangible proof that a bad hit happened immediately, and for just $200 a pop, this seems like a great investment for not just college teams across the US, but in the NFL as well. And it really goes to the fact that this shows actual evidence that a hard hit was received. Like, you can't ignore a light going off. It's
in your mouth.
Yeah, it's quite simple. So it's obviously not going to prevent concussions, mm-hmm. but it can, help take players out of games when, it's not safe for them to keep playing.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot because, you just mentioned Cam Newton, how he was not pulled from the game last weekend when he very clearly was hit hard and was struggling to get up, and he kind of stumbled as he was moving off to the sidelines. And the NFL actually kind of changed their concussion policy at the end of December in 2017, saying that if a player is kind of showing symptoms like that, they have to go to the locker room for a concussion test. And so Cam Newton obviously didn't, but I feel like if he had been wearing this mouth guard, he would have no option, right? It would show that, he actually had a concussion. He should probably go.
Yeah, because it's also like this one thing where you have to fight with the players themselves here, mm-hmm. in this case, because this was a playoff game that the Panthers ended up losing and their season's over now. Mm-hmm. So it's totally understandable that Cam Newton in the moment is just like, no, put me back out there, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because that's just, what all of these athletes do. And mm-hmm. I mean, you really can't blame them. They want to win a championship. And in the moment, that's what they're thinking. But so what happens is you need to put a system in place where they literally can't argue against it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if this light is on and it's just like, okay, yeah, you have to go into the locker room. It might take 15, 20 minutes, whatever, and that sucks for the fans, but no one wants to see Cam Newton be mush in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. You want him as a long-lasting player, right? Like, you want a 10-year plan instead of a one-day plan.
Especially a guy who's already been suffering concussions like Cam Newton.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so next I wanted to highlight a really cool fitness thing coming out of CES this week called Blackbox VR. So it's apparently the first ever virtual reality cable resistance experience, and it was also this year's Innovations Awards honoree at CES. So basically it combines a resistance workout machine with VR for like a crazy experience. You put on the VR headset, which puts you in a real life situation that will push your limits according to the company, like an army training regimen, or you have to save someone from a car crash or something ridiculous. And the headset also controls the resistance machine that you buy so that you're doing exercises that fit what you're seeing in VR. And so if that's not cool enough, Blackbox VR is also built with integrated artificial intelligence so that the platform actually adapts to your workout style and abilities so that you're never going to plateau or get bored. It'll always sense when exercises are getting easier and it'll upgrade accordingly. And so it also helps track your form so that you're actually doing workouts properly and without risk of injury. And it also acts like a video game in some sense because you can level up based on how well you do at the workouts and you can unlock new experiences to try. And honestly, it just sounds really cool. And their hype video online is amazing. And it basically just takes away the boring repetitiveness of going to the gym and doing the same workouts over and over again, which, I mean, I know like we all struggle with to some extent. I don't care how much you love the gym. You're always bored at some point and looking for new things to do. So yeah, I love it. It's currently in beta right now, but they are looking for testers. So I don't know how well or when it's going to come out, but I want it.
Yeah, I love this idea of having to do like certain tasks and this idea of leveling up, because it is that like you're working towards a goal and it could be something really tiny.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's honestly like it's a little silly, but it still is good motivation to actually go do something at the gym. I know I struggle with that. So, you know, this sounds awesome. I do wonder, I mean, like right now it seems like VR technology, like just the headset in itself probably isn't in a place where this could really be a thing. Just because, like, if you've ever worn a VR headset, like, in the, like, really good ones, like, because you're not going to be able to, like, use a Google Daydream for this.
No, so that's the thing. Yeah. So according to their website, this is going to be hella expensive. Excuse my language. You have to buy the resistance machine, you have to buy the headset from them, and you have to buy, like, hand sensors, because I think it was originally meant for boxing. So, I mean, like, all of those technologies put together, I mean, workout machines are not cheap to begin with, so this is going to be really expensive. So it's not like you're using your own VR headsets. Gotcha. You'd have to use theirs.
Yeah, so, again, even more so, this seems like it's going to be one of those things where maybe in, like, 10 years, like, you won't be seeing, like, oh, if you buy, like, this machine, you'll you know, in 6 weeks you'll be jacked or whatever. That we all see those commercials all the time. And instead of it just being like a workout machine, it's going to be a VR headset plus resistance machine or something like that.
This just happens to be the first one that's really, I guess, caught everyone's eye.
Yeah.
They'll probably be for those elite few that can afford it, but hey, whatever.
I'm excited for this possible world of virtual reality.
Yeah, that makes me like actually want to work out a little bit more.
I might wait until then.
Okay.
All right, so my second piece is for the game of tennis. So Silicon Valley-based Pivot has a new sensor called Pivot Tennis. This is a new set of wearables that can be placed on your wrist, anywhere in your arms, shoulders, chest, etc., in order to give tennis players of all kinds more options to improve their game. So the sensors recreate joint and body movements, which is actually a super awesome way to tackle sports sensors. Anyone who plays the game of tennis is aware of how easy it is to injure yourself because of poor form and technique. Just if you're swinging to hit a ball and you're not hitting it correctly, you can really damage your elbows, especially if you're playing a lot, and it's really not great for your joints.
Well, that's why tennis elbow is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So with this technology, you can track how you're moving your body and how you are reacting to different shots and learn what you are doing wrong and how you can do it better. The technology is also designed to recognize patterns that often lead to chronic injuries, which it can then notify you about so you can correct your game. And it all works pretty simply. You just put on the sensors and then connect it via an app on a tablet or phone, and it provides instant feedback. So, and I couldn't find any pricing for it, but I imagine this isn't going to be cheap right away, but I think it's just another cool idea for in the future. These are for people who want to play tennis for their whole life. I mean, it's a sport that a lot of people do that for. I know my mom suffers from tennis elbow at least once a year.
Yeah.
And I know, and she knows that's because she's hitting the ball wrong in certain cases. So if she had access to this type of technology, that would be really cool. And one day, hopefully, it becomes a more wild, renowned thing that everyone kind of can use, and because right now I'm sure it's still expensive and pretty inaccessible. Yeah. But I'm excited to see what the future of tennis sensors are like this.
Well, I just love the idea of like real time feedback. You know, like I don't know if that's just a sign of like our generation, like we really like instant things, but I mean to me that's so cool. And yeah, you can totally avoid injury that way. You can improve yourself way faster than ever before. Like that's just fascinating.
Yeah, I don't even think it's because of like that whole like concept of instant gratification type thing.
No.
I think it's like you want to improve yourself, and like I don't remember like body motions that I make 15 minutes after, So like if I'm not looking to see what I did wrong immediately, it's that whole concept of muscle memory. You're not going to remember how you exactly moved your arm. Like you can think, I was doing that, but if you weren't, like it's tough to correct that 15, 30, an hour later.
Exactly. So if you have to pause to go look at the computer or something,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and then so my second piece of sports tech that I wanted to highlight is the Solos augmented reality smart glasses. So basically, they're sunglasses that incorporate augmented reality tech so that cyclists and runners never have to check their smartphones or watches for information. So the glasses project a virtual screen in front of athletes without actually interrupting their vision that shows real-time data like speed, pace, time, turn-by-turn navigation, as well as heart rate. So the new version of the glasses also come with a coaching integration feature where athletes can set targets and connect to different training programs. It also comes with hands-free audio capabilities, so athletes can talk to their trainers, and there's even an advanced group chat feature that lets multiple users talk live with each other, which might be the coolest part for me, given that a lot of runners and cyclists actually go out in groups or on teams. So all the features are voice-controlled, which really saves you time and inconvenience of looking down at your phone all the time to check for whatever time it is, or how fast you're going, or to change the music, or whatever. The glasses started off as a Kickstarter campaign a few years ago, and the company has said that the glasses will be designed for more sports in mind in the future. And I mean, for whoever's listened to our podcast before, too, this is similar to the smart swim goggles I talked about in a previous episode that incorporated AR tech as well. So, I mean, I'm sold. Like, when I run, I always have to carry my phone, and it's so annoying. It's awful. And when I want to check, like, how close am I to, like, hitting a kilometer or a mile or something, I always have to look down, and then I usually stumble, I trip, I kind of mess up my pace. So it'd be really cool to actually be running and see all of that information right in front of me.
Yeah, no, I feel like we're always talking more so about virtual reality, but the actual practical effects are, for that type of tech, is going to be an augmented reality for now. Like, that's here. Like, it's becoming more obvious every year. Last year, all these companies, Apple, Samsung, everybody, they're focusing on AR when it comes to their next smartphones and their capabilities and the technology that they're putting in them. And you just look at the new Apple Watch. The Apple Watch could be connected to these AR type glasses. So yeah, you don't need your phone. You would just need a watch and sunglasses, which a lot of people are very comfortable with running and doing stuff with.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is super exciting and is going to make this even more possible, because it's pretty unrealistic, I think, for now, to think that glasses are going to be able to have just like all the processing power and the ability just in glasses to do this. But it could easily maybe connect to a watch that does.
Yeah. Yeah, this only has like a 5-hour battery life, so it's not that great. But I mean, the more I think about it, like, VR is awesome. Like, that's going to be very cool down the road. But I think AR might even be better. I don't know, like having that like interface in front of you in real life, but it's not real. I know that sounds so bad, but I don't know. To me, that's more exciting, actually.
I think it's just two different worlds. I feel like it's just like with virtual reality, it's quite literally putting yourself in a different situation. And we're right, like that, like the type of VR experiences that we all really want are still probably a good 5 to 10 years away at the very least. But I do see augmented reality is probably a lot less than that. That is happening now, and I'm actually very excited to see what augmented reality looks like in 5 years.
Yeah.
Think of how fast it's come just since Pokemon Go.
Well, I was going to say, last summer, or I guess that's 2 summers ago.
Yeah,
wow.
So a year and a half. So in a year and a half since like it really went worldwide, it's really interesting to see how it's going. So we'll have to just keep seeing, because this is going to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep everyone updated. All right, that's it for today's episode of the Tech and Sports Podcast. Please go like us on iTunes or wherever else you listen to this podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter. We're at ITB Tech and Sports, or our personal accounts, Mandy V. Kovacs and Alex T. Radu. Thanks for listening.